Over $3,000 spent, over 500 days played, 100,000 plus resin invested, over 250 fully leveled 5-star artifacts, 24 5-star weapons, 365 mint, and all 80 characters built and tested on one account. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. So today I'm going to be account reviewing myself. I'm going to be talking about ranking every single character, giving my review on all of them, and also talk about other things, my resin priority, my spending habits, my account goals. I did want to start with, why did I even do this? Why did I want to build every single character? And there's actually a pretty interesting story behind it. So when I started the game, it was in Inazuma. My first account had terrible luck, so I re-rolled to hopefully catch up with my wife, who had much better luck than I, and I was lucky enough to get a ka-ching on my first 10 pull. She was the character I was most looking forward to and that I wanted the very most, and so I was absolutely over the moon when I got her. It was such an incredible feeling. The character I wanted second most was Mona. We'll talk about her more in a bit. But after getting my first team together, which was a Hu Tao team, as I got her when she reran, won my 50-50. Yes. It was Raiden that caught my eye next. And I vowed that I would make the very best Raiden Shogun team possible. Because when I saw her demo, as I was watching all the demos, I was absolutely madly in love with this character, as much as you can be for a video game character, without being too creepy. And I was hearing a lot about basically 3 teams. Raiden Hyper, which was something like this. Raiden National, which honestly I wasn't super keen on at the time because Xingqiu Bennett and Xiangling don't have my very favorite designs. And the other was Raiden Eula. People were talking about at the time how incredible of a character Eula was and how well she worked with Raiden. And wouldn't you know it, Eula was next on banner after Hu Tao. And I just got the Wolf's Gravestone from the standard banner. And I heard that this was one of Eula's best weapons and that she was a cracked character. You just needed a really good weapon for her and really good artifacts and stats for her, and then she was one of the best characters in the game. So I figured, hey, I've got one of her best weapons. I'm going to be getting Raiden. She is one of the best characters in the game. She works with Raiden. I'm going to have an incredible team. And I tried to do my very best to research and learn if that would be a good idea. And I heard very mixed reviews. Some people saying that Raiden National would be best. Some people saying that Hyper would be the best. Some people saying that Hyper kind of bad. And some people saying that Raiden Eula would be the best. So I ended up getting Eula and unfortunately regretting it because I just felt like the Eula teams were just noticeably worse than other teams that I could make with Raiden. So that was my first reason why I wanted to actually build and test characters for myself. The second reason is that I'm kind of an odd duck. I'm the kind of person who would build marble tracks in my bedroom and do exactly what these guys do and like assign countries or something, or just assign maybe animals to each marble and run them through a track and do competitions to find out which was the best marble, which was the best Hot Wheel, which was the best Beyblade. And this has always been something very fun for me. Make up fictional hockey teams with my brother and test them all against each other. And so I made it my goal to make my own Genshin tier list. And this was long before I was a content creator, just hanging out with my wife, playing Genshin as my wind down game for my very busy day, and just building up the characters, hearing what other people were saying. This was when I discovered ka-ching mains, I discovered Zajef, I discovered what theory crafting was, and I started having my own opinions and then also comparing my opinions with other people and started making my own tier list. And eventually I decided, you know, I think I could do what they're doing. So I became a content creator, and I knew from the very beginning, as soon as I did, that if I was a content creator, instead of just getting my favorite characters, I would build and test every character. That's something that it seemed to me that nobody was really doing, at least not to an equal level. So now we come to my account goals. What are my account goals? My account goals are to get every single 4-star up to their optimal constellation, and every single 5-star at C0, or maybe a C1 if it's a C1 that I cannot use in combat, so I can still test them as if they were C0. So my 5 stars, very, very relatable. Even some I have constellations of, but I don't activate them. Same with Raiden. Probably one day I'll activate them. I'm just waiting for the right time. So every single 5-star, and not only having them, but leveling them to their optimal efficiency level. So some of them I take to 90, some of them I can justify leaving at level 80, 30, and just a couple I keep lower than that if they're like support characters. And I do this because, well, to be honest, I want to be the very best Genshin content creator on YouTube, and I feel like the one thing that nobody has is like a fairly even account. And now mine's not perfect. Definitely my favorite characters are more invested than my less favorite characters, but the more I play and build up every single character and slowly build them all up to the same level, we will get there. And I can do some artifact shuffling to kind of equalize things and overall get a feel, a very good, well-tested feel as to how each and every single unit compares against each other on one account. And what this also does is whenever a new character comes out and I can access them on the test server, unlike a lot of other creators, I can immediately test them out with any possible team comp and as a somewhat relatable team comp. Now, obviously, you know, it's not going to be relatable to everyone. I do have some 5-star weapons, which I test both 5-star and 4-star, and I do have very good artifacts, a lot of them. So it's not, you know, fully 100% free-to-play relatable or something like that. Or I mean, if even free-to-play, a lot of free-to-plays have very well invested accounts, but maybe not new player relatable, but everything is achievable. Everything that I do is achievable for a free-to-play. Any single team that I showcase is not a whale team because I don't, if a new character comes out, I'm not testing them with a C2 Yelan that increases her damage. I'm not testing them with a C2 Nahida that is just makes such a big difference for the team that uses her. I'm not testing them with a C2 Farina, which massively inflates a team's power. I'm testing them all with C0, often with 4-star weapons, or at least I'm testing both with 4-star and 5-star. And just overall, just taking this game way too seriously, way more seriously than it needs to be taken. Why do I take it this seriously? Why do I care about meta? Why do I care about making a tier list? Because it's fun. For literally no other reason. I find it fun. I like to care about things. I like to get really, really into something for no reason. And I find it amazing that I can just sit here and talk to you guys. I used to talk my wife's ear off about all the new characters coming up and whether I would get them, whether or not, whether I'd pull for this one or that one or why not, how they compare, what I learned. And I just figured, hey, if I can talk my wife's ear off, and she loved it, by the way, because she plays the game with me, but if I can talk her ear off, why not talk your guys' ear off? And I also noticed, you know, a lot of content creators weren't absolutely in love with the game like I was, and I figured, hey, I love the game, I can talk about the game, and this will be my niche. I love the game, number one, and number two, I take the game way too seriously, and I can do it in such a way that can be unique and be, you know, will my testing always be perfect? No, it will always have my bias, but it will be someone who will hopefully be a valuable input, even if, like, I don't recommend you take my word as gospel, but hopefully it will be a valuable input that you can put in line with all your other favorite content creators and say, yeah, he has gone to great lengths to do the best he can. When a new character drops, I am testing for 8 to 12 to 15 hours on the new character before my guide ever comes out. Every single guide that I release, I never half-ass a guide. The Ito guide, even though Ito is not my favorite character, but I do not half-ass. I learned his proper combos. I tested him on all the teams I could think of. Same with Klee. You know, I know these characters aren't crazy popular right now. Jin Yan, I just made a guide for her, and I really, really put everything into testing that. I give every single character a fair shake, and I give my honest opinion. Yes, for my guides, I'm gonna lean more towards the positive. I'm not generally gonna thrash a character on their guide. That's what the tier list is for. The tier list is for the thrashing if I think a character might deserve it. But in general, I try and give every character a fair shake to really see who feels good to play on what teams and compared to who and by how much. So hopefully that gives you an insight into my ideas for my account. Next, I want to talk about my spending. Before I became a content creator, I got most of the characters that I wanted at Constellation Zero with no 5-star weapons, just from the Welcome Moon and the Battle Pass. I got pretty lucky and I've won a ridiculous amount of 50-50s. I think I win over 80% of my 50-50s throughout my account's history. So we've had some pretty good luck on this account, which is awesome. That let me test a lot of characters earlier than I would have if I didn't have such good luck. So I was a Welkin plus Battle Pass player for about 1.5 years before I became a content creator, and only recently did I really start topping up as more characters came out that I didn't have. I started max resin refreshing. I never did a resin refresh until a couple months ago when I really said, okay, you know what? We're gonna get this done this year. We're gonna build and test every single character. I've max resin refreshed until we could hit that goal, and I will continue probably just for another couple weeks until everyone is sort of at a pretty good level and I'm pre-farmed for the next character, and then I'll stop resin refreshing pretty much entirely. I don't go for 5-star weapons of every single character. I go for 5-star weapons when I kind of want to simp for the character. So I went for Yolan's because I wanted to give this is like, instead of me wishing for a character that I like, I get their 5-star weapon to like show my dedication to the character. So Yolan's bow, and then I got Linny's bow in the process, although I don't regret it. Linny's bow is really fun. I got Homa and then got Novelette's weapon in the process, although again, I don't regret it. I did get Wanderer's weapon for testing purposes, or sorry, not Wanderer's, Risley's weapon, because it's also so good for Wanderer, and I didn't have a good 5-star weapon for Wanderer. I got Yai's weapon because I just wanted to give Yai the best. Same with Raiden, obviously. That I did even on my own account, which was horrendous because I went to full pity 3 times and got Jadewing Spear and Haran off of that. I went for Navia's weapon for her. I went for Mist Splitter for Ayaka. This was an accident. Jade Cutter. I went for on the Jade Cutter Kagura's banner, and I got the Jade Cutter. I went for Chiori's weapon. I went for Elegy for testing purposes, and then Wolf's Gravestone was from the standard banner. Amos was from the standard banner. Skyward was from the standard banner. I know that was from the weapon banner, and then Scarred Blade was also from the weapon banner. And then I've got a few extras from unfortunate mishaps. So that's kind of my mindset around standard weapons. It's mostly when I simp for a character, do I go for the standard weapon? And I want to have sort of a universal stat stick for every 5-star weapon type so that I can test them properly. I'm considering whether my universal stat stick for Claymores should be the Stone Thresher or if it should be the Beacon. Let me know in the comments if you think it should be the Beacon or the Stone Thresher, because I need something that's not the Serpent Spine, because I hate the Serpent Spine, waiting for the Serpent Spine stacks. It sucks. I think maybe it'll be the Beacon because it's probably cheaper for me to go for than the Stone Thresher, because I don't want any more of that. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Beacon. Actually, don't bother commenting. It's going to be the Beacon. So what are my go-to teams? Right now, my favorite teams in the game are Raiden Chevreuse, and I go back and forth between Yaimiko and Kujosara here. Both of them are very, 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 very good and feel about the same depending on the content. One is better than the other. And for my second side, I do Chiori with Navia. I usually do Bennett Xiangling, but sometimes I'll do Farina Shenyun for Plunge as well. I just love Raiden way too much. Her infinite interruption resistance is just so fun, and her big slash is so satisfying, and the Chevreuse team just makes the damage so good. So I love that team. I love the Navia team. The front load is way too much fun. I love that front load nuke that both Raiden and Navia have, and both being my favorite body type, the tall veal male model, and also Navia using Chiori is huge because Chiori is one of my favorite designs in the game. Looks just like my wife. Probably my second favorite design in the entire game behind Raiden. So these are absolutely my go-to teams. If Novelette was a girl, I would definitely play this team. It is so smooth and so comfy to play, especially if you have Novelette C1, which I don't, but even still, it's an incredible team. My third most used team is definitely this Hu Tao. For single target, nothing shreds bosses the way that this does. This is an absolute monstrosity of a team. It blows my mind how good it is. It's definitely one of my, so if I were to say these are kind of my go-to 3 teams, and I really like them because they don't share very many teammates. I think all of 3 of these use completely different teammates. These 2 both use Xiangling. So yeah, so sometimes this will be Farina instead, and sometimes it'll be Fischl, and sometimes it'll be Farina Shenyun. It just depends what's going on. So the overall, these 3 do not share very many units, and that's one of the reasons why these are all my go-to. I really want a replacement for Xiangling. One, so that we can change it up, or if she has a skin or something, so it's her haircut that kind of bothers me. But also so that I can have 2 Xianglings, so I can run both of these teams together without Xiangling wanting to be on both teams. For Overworld, this right now is my go-to Overworld team. Yolan for the C1 for unbelievable mobility, Shenyun also for unbelievable mobility, and then the Chiori Kazuha combo for incredible, again, vertical mobility, and then Kazuha being able to suck up all the drops together. I don't use Wanderer, even though he's OP, because he has a stupid hat and a stupid face, and he's very annoying the way he talks in the Overworld. So yeah, I don't use Wanderer. So those are my go-to teams. I do use other teams in the Overworld as well. Sometimes I'll use Raiden. Sometimes I'll use Yoimiya here. This has been historically one of my really common teams. But right now this is sort of where we've settled because of the combination of good enough damage and just unparalleled exploration with maximizing female body type characters. My exploration's actually pretty good, as you can see over here in the 80s and 90s and 100s. Again, 80s and 90s for Leeway, 70s, 80s for most of Sumeru. The new ones I haven't explored as much because I've been on the content creation grind. Fontaine, 70s, 50s, 60s. my exploration's gotten better since the daily commission change. And my Inazuma, not bad, I think. 96, 100, 87, 85. And I think even my Enkanomiya. Yeah, Enkanomiya 95. So I really went to town. Man, I miss Enkanomiya. That place is amazing. For my quest, I'm decent. I don't have like a bajillion piled up quests, but definitely a bunch. For my story quest, I'm working on it. I've gotten most of them done. And then hangouts, we're making our way. We're not done all of them, but we're making our way. I haven't done hangouts as much since I just get every character I want, whereas I used to have to grind for them. So yeah, I really like exploration. I like doing quests. I like doing the world quests. I like exploring. I find it very fun. I wish I could do it more. I don't have as much free time to play Genshin as I wish I did, which is hilarious. Most of the time I end up just building and testing characters. Takes forever. It's freaking annoying to get these ascension materials for every characters. Like, it gets tough farming all these flowers. You don't realize when you hit a critical mass of characters, you don't have that stockpile of resources and you just have to farm from scratch for every new character. It's exhausting. So let's do a quick review of all the characters. Yelan, I'm gonna go through, would I get them again? Personally, if I restarted my account and I could only pick, if I was on a budget and I could only do Welkin Battle Pass, who would I personally get and why, and who would I skip? This is gonna be purely subjective. If you want an objective review, go watch my tier list and wait for my next tier list, which will be the most tested and comprehensive tier list on YouTube, in my opinion. But for my super subjective review, we'll talk about this. Yelan, must pull, great design, great exploration, incredible power and flexibility, absolute must pull, incredible. Chiori, would pull again, incredible design, works with Navia, pretty strong, good exploration, solid character overall. Kazuha, must pull, works with everyone, buffs so many teams, irreplaceable for exploration, pretty decent design, not my favorite, but pretty decent. Shenyun, incredible design, incredible flexibility, very powerful, incredible exploration, must pull. Wanderer, I would skip. He is solid power, solid fun, incredible exploration, but again, stupid hat, very annoying, stupid face, skip. Shenhe, must pull, super hot, end of story. I've said I think she's the hottest character in Genshin, in my opinion. Most attractive design. Ayaka, must pull because she's the best way to utilize your Shenhe. That's why no joke, that is why I wished for Ayaka, because I really wanted to use Shenhe properly. So I wished for Ayaka. Sino, I got him because I thought he was so sick and I love his voice lines. I love his playstyle, but unfortunately I just never use him for fun because I have Raiden. So if I were to do it again, I would skip him. Not because he's not as good as I wish he was. It's just because I would just always rather play Raiden. So unfortunate. Yaimiko, would summon again because she works good with Raiden with Chevreuse teams, and I love their lore together. So for that reason, I would summon again. Alhaitham, I would skip. I think he's awesome. He reminds me of Green Power Ranger, which was my favorite Power Ranger by a lot. But I find the value he brings to my account personally not that high because I don't like using male DPSs because I prefer using female DPSs. And how the Hyper Bloom teams are pretty much just as strong with him. And although his spread teams are really, really good, I don't find myself like ever needing a spread team. So I would skip. Nahida, must pull. Hyper Bloom is so brain dead and amazing and incredible and easy to use. And she's also incredible with Nilou. Both of those together make Nahida must pull. Nilou would definitely pull again. Super cute. One of the most unique playstyles in the game. Super great design. So fun. So easy to build. When the right abyss comes around, there's just nothing more satisfying than using Nilou. I would summon again. Ayato, definitely skip. One of my few regrets of my pre-content creator days. Jack of all trades, master of none. I prefer the master characters personally. Kokomi would summon again, although just barely. She's best in slot for Ayaka, but I don't really utilize her versatility the way other people really like to. I use her for Ayaka and sometimes Nilou, but even for Nilou, I'm often using someone else. But I still would get her again for Ayaka. Yoimiya would summon again, even though I pretty much never use her anymore. I used her every single day, both in the Abyss and the Overworld. I think she's awesome. She's just been power crept by my Hu Tao because I have Homa now, and I also have a really, really cracked artifact set. And just with all the buffs that Hu Tao's gotten, Yoimiya's kind of been left behind, and she's kind of been replaced in the Overworld now too. But even still, I would get her again because she's just so gosh darn cute. She has one of my favorite designs, probably top 3, just got passed by Chiori, but I think she was like my second favorite design, second or third, maybe behind Raiden or Shenhe. So would summon again, would get Hu Tao again. She's so fun and so good. I love her with Plunge. If it weren't for Plunge, maybe I wouldn't have, but now with Plunge Tau, I love it. I think it's the most fun. I think if I got her again, I would get her. If I wasn't doing content creation, I would get her C1, but we'll see. Kuki would build again. Need for Hyper Bloom. So fun. Yeah, double Hydro Hyper Bloom just cleared many abysses way too easily. Fischl would definitely build again. So splashable. So good. Great design. Yeah. Toma probably wouldn't build again. I don't regret building him because I liked using him for VV Hu Tao. I liked using him for Yoimiya VV, but I don't use him anymore for shielding now that I have Zhongli, and I don't use Burgeon very much because there's not really any reason to use it over other stuff, so I wouldn't build him again, but I don't regret it. Bennett, have to build again. He's Bennett. That's how it goes. Xiangling, same thing. I neglected to build my Xiangling for so long, but I'm glad I did now. Zhongli would definitely get again and build him again. He's just so comfortable and so good to have overall. Actually, would I? None of my teams use him anymore. Yeah, I would still for Hu Tao. Sometimes, you know, there's just a really aggressive Abyss, and it's just really nice to have that shield. Venti, no, I wouldn't get him again. Even for some domains are very good for Venti and early floors of the Abyss and whatever, but even still, I don't like using him all that much. He's not as... I was never around for the days that he was super powerful, and so far there just hasn't been that good of use case to use him all that often, so I wouldn't get Venti. I wouldn't. Eula, definitely not. I think she's actually pretty good this Abyss, and I've been getting some better clears. I'm working on a Eula guide. I'm not sure when exactly I'll release it, but I've been testing her in preparation for that guide. But I would not get her again. She's so clunky to fit into the Abyss, like the way her damage is so backloaded, how she has to stack it up and your burst can miss or not crit. Feels very inconsistent, very annoying to play, so I would not get Eula. Baiju, I would definitely wish for again. Very comfy for Aggravate, very comfy for Bloom, Nilu Bloom, and very comfy for Hyper Bloom if you need. So I would get Baiju again. Dea, I would not get again. I wished for her. But I would build her at worst as a skill. Well, would I build her as a skill bot? Because I don't think I would get Novelette again, because I would still build her again. Dea's just so hot and such a great design. So yeah, I would get her. I would actually, you know what? I'm looking at her animation right now. I would get her again and I would build her again and have no regrets. My only regret is that I don't have her C1 so I can make her actually do DPS. Yunjin, I would not build again. I found her upgrade to Yoimiya marginal and not worth the investment. It is a lot of resin investment to really make it work, so I would not build again. Would not build Mika again. I think Yunjin is worth it for Yoimiya team, but I don't end up playing Yoimiya that much anymore, so that's the main thing, I guess. Mika, I would not build again because I wouldn't get Eula, and it's not really working that well in any other teams. I even prefer Charlotte for most teams because of a more consistent cryo application. Layla, I would build again because I really love mono cryo with Ayaka, Shen, Kazuha, and Layla's so good. My only regret is I would get her C6. So Navia, you've already heard me talk about it. 100% get again. One of my favorite DPSs in the game. Number 2, Raiden number 1, Navia number 2, easy. Ito, no way, no how. Navia is way more fun. He's still fun. I just made a guide on him. Go watch it. But he's not for me. He's not my design. He's not my character, but he's okay. Traveler would not build. No. I don't regret building him. Denjo main character was great at the time, but not anymore. Jean, pre-Shen Yun, I would definitely build her. Now that we have Shen Yun, I would not build her. So I don't regret building her because I loved using her with Farina before there was a Shen Yun, but now that we have Shen Yun, wouldn't build Jean anymore. Ganyu, this was one of my regrets before, but now with her skin, she's just so gosh darn pretty. So would I get her? Maybe. Yeah, I think it's kind of the Yoimiya situation as I end up using Ayaka instead, but I still think Ganyu is good enough. And, but yeah, I think I probably would get her again just because she's so cute in this outfit, but yeah. Keqing would build again. I find her Aggravate really fun. Even though it's not as good as Yai, I still like it. Tainari would not build again because, but he's still really fun. So I don't regret it. Farina, definitely have to build again. A great design, amazing support, works with everyone, super good. Novelette, from a power and usability and versatility and fun and playstyle, all of that, I love him. But personally, I like to use female DPSs, so I wouldn't build him again. But if I didn't care about that, I would. Klee, nope. I find her just not as fun as other characters to use as a DPS. Noelle, I wish I liked her more than I did. I just find myself a little bit underwhelmed, even with level 90, with R5, with a really cracked out Marie-Shisei set, with pretty good invested talents. I just don't find her good enough damage-wise. Sayu, I wouldn't build Sayu again, but she was really fun in Farina National. I'm actually really looking forward to play it again, so that's a maybe. I'll let you know. I think it's a no for now, but maybe after I play her more. Sucrose, I would actually not build Sucrose if I could go back, even though I really wanted Sucrose. She was one of the characters I looked forward to the most. I just find her not as good as Cosmo by a lot, because it's just her grouping isn't nearly as potent and just not as fun as I would have hoped. Dory, I'm working on testing her more. I definitely wouldn't build her because I don't like her design, but I think she's really underrated. I think she's got pretty good power, so keep an eye out for the Dory guide. It's coming really soon. Razor's Virgin Razor is pretty good, but I wouldn't build it again. Don't love Razor, so yeah. Lisa, if it weren't for Kaching and Yai, I would build Lisa, because I have Kaching, and because Kaching and Yai aggravate exist, I wouldn't, but if they didn't, I would build Lisa. So there's that. Kaveh, no way, no how. One of the most disappointing characters I've ever played. I'll give him another try when I get his C6 on his next banner, but he hasn't reran since his first banner, so that's kind of crazy. So, but we'll see. Yao Yao, I would build Yayo again, because I'd want to use her with Candace for Nilu Bloom teams, because I would have to build Candace, and that's one of the best ways to use Candace. So other than that, I wouldn't, because I would just be using Baiju instead, but gotta make my girl Candace work. So yeah, gotta build Yayo again. Singcho, now this one's really interesting, and I think people are going to be surprised. If I started my account and I could just get all the characters right away, I would actually not build Singcho again, because I have both Farina and Yelan, and there's a bunch of comps that don't use Hydro anymore. So I actually wouldn't build Singcho again, because I don't enjoy his design that much. So I wouldn't build Singcho again if I restarted my account, but if I didn't have those characters and I had to make do in the meantime, then I would. So there you go. Barbara, I think I would build her again, just because I really like her design and I would use it in Nilu teams. I really like her in Nilu teams, so I would build her again for that. Albedo, no way, no how, just worse Chiori. Zhao, I think I'm on the fence. If I had the spare Primos and I got Jadewing Spear from the standard banner, I do think I would build him. Yeah, especially since you can use Mari Shisei, and I love Faruzan, so I actually would build Zhao again. And I think he's really strong, especially with Shen Yun, so I would. Zhao is a character I actually would build again. Risley, no. Even though I do think he's really strong, and Farina Bennett's Shang Ling is really fun and really good, I wouldn't get him again. Aloy, I would not build her again. Just not. There's just so many other cryos I'd rather play. Chi-Chi, I would not. Just Charlotte. I like Charlotte so much more as a cryo healer. Tartaglia, even though he is really fun, he's not as fun as other DPSs, and he is a male DPS, so I wouldn't. Linny, I love him. I love his playstyle a lot, but not quite enough, because of he can easily get knocked out of his charge attack. Pretty close. Even for being a male character, it's pretty close to building him again, but I just barely wouldn't, because of his playstyle is not quite smooth enough for me. Like, you can't really dodge when you're in the middle of your charge animation, but it's pretty close. I really do like him a lot. D-Luke again, I would have to, because this outfit and this weapon are way too cool. If I didn't get Wolf's Gravestone, I wouldn't, but since I did, I would have to, and Plunge D-Luke's actually pretty good, so no regrets. Goro, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't build Ito, and so far there's no other DPS that uses him. Ningguang, I just don't find her fun enough. Even though she's one of my favorite designs in the game with this skin, her playstyle is just too clunky for me, so I wouldn't build her. Lynette, I wouldn't build unless I got C6. I got really unlucky on the banner with her. I didn't get a single copy, so when I get C6, I would build her, and I will build her, but as is it before C6, no. Faruzan, yes, because I'd be building Zhao. Hazo, no, because he's just bad Zhao and Wanderer. Rosaria, unfortunately, well, there is a world where I don't wish for Ayaka, and I just hyper buff Rosaria with Shenhe instead. That there is a world that exists that is like that. I don't know if I would live in that world, but if I did, I would build her, and if I didn't, then I wouldn't, so I'm not sure. Charlotte, I would build her again. She's so cute, and she works very well in mono cryo, and a lot of Farina teams is just super comfy to play. I love her cryo application, and her heals are incredible. I love Charlotte. Would build again. Fremine, no. Maybe when we get a really dedicated off-field physical, buffer, DPS, etc., but for now, no. Diana, definitely not. I think Diana is super overrated, and I don't like her design. Just use Layla or Charlotte instead. Chongyun, but mostly also I have a bias against Diana, so I think she's fine. If you know, I think she's fine. Chongyun, I think I would, because I love his animations and his sound design, and his voice lines, and he works well with Shenhe for that mono cryo. So I think I would, even though it's not efficient. I think I would. Kaya, no. Too many other cryos. Sara, yes, for Raiden. Beto, surprisingly no, because probably because she doesn't work with Raiden. Not like a spite thing, just like I never end up using her because I'm always using Raiden. So Kale, I would because she's actually really good in Nilou, and I love it a lot. Kirara, if I got C4, I would, and if not, then I wouldn't. Chevreuse, 100%. Yanfei, no. Just too much overlap with other pyros. Xinyan, no. Mona, yes, because I love her design. Other than that, I have only tested her a little bit in freeze teams, and I found her actually surprisingly, I liked it. But we'll see with more testing. Amber, no. And Gaming, yes, I know he's technically not leveled here, but I did level him for my beta test and tested him extensively, both at C0 and at C6. And I would not build him again just because there are other great plunge characters like Hu Tao, but I do think he's really good and really fun. So that is my review of every single character. What are my account plans from here? Well, they're obviously to continue to get every single character as they come out. And I'm going to continue with this trend of not getting any constellations that I can't not use, and so that I can't like pretend I have C0 of. And I'm going to continue getting the 5-star weapons for the characters that I simp for, that I really like. Probably by Raiden's next rerun, I'll activate her constellations and we'll start like an early constellation testing arc, probably, but I'm not totally sold on that. That's just a maybe. Maybe it'll be an exception for Raiden because she's my favorite character. Maybe I'll do that with a few of my favorite characters. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see like where Genshin is at that point, where like all the kinds of characters that they're releasing at that point. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Check out my tier list for my unbiased review after this very, very biased one. And thanks so much. Take care. Bye for now.